that's a key place to be is to be found walking on the
Right.
path of righteousness. I think a lot of times we stumble and get off course, but if we try and stay focused and keep our eyes on Him,
Uh-huh.
we can pretty much stay on the path. But the key is always there to make sure that we
So
keep our
how do
eyes.
you, let me ask you this, how do you keep your eyes on a God that's invisible?
Um, well, I think for me, I have to. I I've had to have a more intimate relationship with Him,
Okay.
and so I know how to find Him. You understand, and he didn't always answer, but
Mm-hmm.
I know how to find Him, and I know how to petition to Him. So even if I stray off course and I stop looking at Him, um, it's still not as difficult as it was in the beginning for me to find Him.
Okay. Okay. Is it possible that, well, there's no doubt that our disobedience will generally increase the gap of where we stand and where He
Right,
stands. I mean, that's the scriptures testify about that over and over again.
right.
So,
But we have to remember that disobedience is sin, and I
mhm,
think as we had spoke about before, God can't be around sin. So if you're
right,
not doing something that He wants you to do or something that's against His will, then more than likely He'll be off on the sidelines watching you doing what you do
mhm,
until you have some wherewithal to look up and say, well, I'm not where I'm supposed to be because God's nowhere near me. I think we have to be consciously aware when God is not near or we can't feel His presence.
okay. You know what? The Lord was talking to me about something today. He showed me disobedience from a different aspect. And the aspect which He showed me was disobedience is actually disgraceful.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, and I had this image in my mind of seeing a parent walking a child down the street, and you see a parent got the kid by the hand, and the kid is kicking and screaming and pulling back and all of that stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So that representation, and we'll say in our hearts when we see that, you ought to whoop his butt. You know what I'm saying? We'll say
Right.
that.
All
You
right.
see, um, in seeing those actions, those type of actions, coming from the ones that we love, the ones that
And
we
it's ironic that we can say that about a kid, but when we look at our own
right,
actions with regards to God, we don't say
right,
He ought to kick my butt.
right,
You understand what I'm
right,
saying?
exactly.
But understanding that He's just, and that sometimes that we do have actions that require Him to
Sure,
chastise us,
sure, sure.
and understanding that when we get chastised, it's not a bad thing.
Hmm.
I mean, providing we look at it from the right perspective of what can I learn from this? What kind of
Right.
correction can be made so that I don't find myself in the same position again? And that's the
Right.
key thing. I
Well,
mean, because you want
that's
to
it.
learn so you don't make the
Hmm.
same mistake over and over
Hmm.
again and not just
Hmm.
say, okay, oops, I messed up, and have it
Hmm.
to keep going over the same thing over and over again.
Again, give we can give an example again illustrating our relationship with our children.
Right.
You tell them, you give them instructions to correct them. If they respect those instructions, they'll respond to them. If they don't respect them, they'll go and they'll do exactly what you ask them not to do.
Right.
You get to the point that you're only satisfied so long with their apologies before you come to the point that you say, "Look, I gotta light you up now."
Right.
And it's got to be the same way with our Father. I
Right.
think every aspect in its purest form, when men were given the ability to, I was going to use the word mass produce, but when man was given the ability to have children of their own, that relationship that formulated is truly reflective of a relationship
Between
that
God and His children. Right.
exactly. So you need to come to a point that you're actually maturing,
Right.
and I have found that if I'm told something to do it's not necessarily that my heart has to be overwhelmed with the
doing
instruction
it,
that I
right.
was given.
But that you follow through.
Exactly. If I'm mature, I'm going to follow through with the instructions I was given. And Christ, he gave us that example because he knew, because righteousness shines such a great light on his path, that he knew what his conclusion in this physical, with the level of mentality of men seeing him only as another man, that it was going to be cross and crucifixion.
Right.
Now, with those thoughts in mind, you can't necessarily believe that knowing that brought some great joy.
Right.
It was the elements that would be manifested along with that about, you're my son, your name's going to be great, you're my king, you're sitting on my right-hand side here. Those things are what brought him through the promise. And that should guide our feet.
Well, I mean, it's amazing that a lot of us, some of us, don't understand what what promises God has given to us individually. I mean, not
Right.
collectively, but individually.
Right.
And that still comes from a lack of a relationship.
Sure.
I mean, because when your kids come to you and they ask you for certain things, and you say, well, I'm going to take you to the park on Saturday. And Saturday, I mean, today might be Monday, but Saturday is 6 days away. And so they have something to look forward to, with the
Right.
understanding that, okay, if I'm good on Saturday, my dad or my mom is going to take me to the park. But that's only established with a relationship. If we don't have that relationship, then we don't know the promises.
And then in regards to being faced with that, even, you don't want to mess that up.
Exactly.
You don't want to do nothing in between that
The
time frame that will blow that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To where you really have to develop a strong and deep-rooted relationship for the Lord to even bring you promises to begin with.
Right. Right.
So I question, can faith be fulfilled if an individual is walking in disobedience?
Okay, so are you asking, can faith be increased
No.
or
No.
just outside of an individual? I'm not understanding
Okay.
the form of the question.
Can I make a claim, because so many things are based upon, that's how many, okay, have expressed, including myself at times, their faith in this, you've heard the terminology, just to basically speak this into existence. You understand what I'm saying now?
Right.
If I am one that is found with disobedience, but yet I'm trying to exercise that faith, will my faith be received? Will my faith be acknowledged? Do you understand what I mean now?
You're saying, will my faith have any power, is what you're asking.
Right.
Okay. I guess you have to go back biblically and look. I mean, because two men that come to mind are Paul,
Okay.
and David.
Okay.
And at times where they stood in disobedience, but I don't know if at that particular time during the disobedience was their faith shown as being powerful. But at times during their life, irregardless of the sin or the disobedience, their faith was shown as powerful.
Regardless of disobedience?
Regardless of as to disobedience within their immediate life, they were corrected. And once they were corrected, then they were able to do the things that God wanted them to do. And David more so than Paul, because David, I believe he messed up 2 or 3 times, and the Lord forgave him, but he still considered him his son, and he was still pleased with him and his actions. There was just some things that he did that he told him specifically not to do, like counting of the people.
And he was punished. In most
Right.
accounts we see, if there was error found with David,
He was corrected.
He was yeah, with punishment.
Right. But God spoke highly of David.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but still, my question still lingers. Can I be a child of God walking in disobedience, but still trying to expound